Going live in 3, 2, 1.
War with China, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, but I know it's gonna happen. War with China, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, but I know it's gonna happen.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We got a lot to go over. So this is not, again, this is not going to be... This is not going to be something that I think that people want to miss. So again, make sure to tune in tonight. China is talking about war with the U.S. U.S. is talking about war with China. At the same time, we're going to talk about in here a minute. Now Russia's helping, Trump get Iran to the table. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Of course, we just talked about how North Korea is chiming up. Of course, the sister is. Like always, I think that's absolutely weird. But again, there's so much more. So again, tune in. Make sure to stick around because this is going to be a really good show. All right. And then first of all, this whole deal, Putin agrees to help Trump broker nuclear talk deals with Iran. Who actually saw that coming, right? Now, many people on the right will see this as, hey, this is a huge win. He's working really well with Putin and he's, working the deals, and he's doing really well with Putin, right? That they are obviously not at each other's throat. I think that that is a little too early to call, and I think that they are really good at making deals and doing these things. But again, we don't know what the real angle is. I'm sure Putin is pissed off at the United States, no matter who is president right now. There's a lot of things that happen to Russia, which we have watched since 2022. Sanctions, things that could, legitimately, supremely harm a country. But again, they had their allies to back them up, which brings me to, all of the other things that are going on with China and this and that. It's like, oh yeah, they're going to help you. Meanwhile, their best friend is talking about, war with China. Are they playing the president? Are they, making him a fool later on? Are they going to end up doing something horrible? And, Donald's going to come out and say, I thought we had a really good, thing going, but of course it was messed up. So what is actually going to happen with this? Russia agreed to assist the president and his administration in communicating with Iran on issues including the Islamic Republic's nuclear program and its support for the regional anti-U.S. proxies, according to people familiar with this situation. Of course, these people are always essentially telling top secret information that they're not supposed to. So who knows what is true and what's meant to be put out to the media. Trump relayed that interest directly to President Vladimir Putin in a phone call in February, and top officials from his admin discussed the matter with their Russian counterparts at talks in Saudi Arabia days later. People said declining to be identified because of the sensitivity of the issue. A White House official who was not asked not to be identified, which again, it's like this is somebody in the White House sneaking off and talking to reporters. You would think that that would be like a huge leak that they would want to plug immediately, but whatever. It says discussing private deliberations, basically stuff that's not supposed to be told, said Russia offered to do the outreach without being asked to play that role. Discussions are in their initial stages, and it's not clear whether any talks between the U.S. and Iran would yield any progress. The same Iran that is promising True Promise 3. That is their third big, massive attack on Israel. And then, of course, rumors over the last couple of weeks swirling around Israel attacking nuclear sites in Iran. There's a lot more to today, so stick around. We'll be right back right after this.
Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
War with China, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, but I know it's gonna happen. War with China, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it.
All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. So, again, these are my opinions, and of course, Dex will speak for himself. Everything is his opinions. So, when people say, oh, they have so much hate in their heart because my opinion is there's going to be a war. Many people say it's fear-mongering or this or that. I've followed this for years, and that is my opinion. To be mad at somebody purely for their opinion existing is nuts to me. I think that everybody has their opinions, and certain people over the years, they have grown to see, if you look at these patterns, you can kind of see what's coming. And it's not rocket science. I never claimed to be, an Albert Einstein or anything, but I think that you don't have to have the crazy 190 Mensa IQ to really see what's going on. In fact, I think sometimes the smartest people in the world, because of how smart they are, they really do miss the simplest things. I just saw a show called 0 Day. I'm not done with it. It's a very long, limited series and don't have much time. But that is with Robert De Niro, which I was actually pretty surprised with the role he played, because I believe he plays like a conservative. And they essentially talk about 0 Day, a cyber attack on the United States. Predictive programming, we might talk about that later in another show. But that movie or the show, extended movie or whatever you want to call it, it really shows that they have targeted people like us, and they portray us in the media as total wingnuts, right? You actually hear in that show, they say after this big event, you have a random guy screaming in the audience of people in New York, those are actors, those people are this, they're not even real people, nobody's even, hurt down there. And this is after supposedly what happened is a cyber attack across the entire country where everything went down for a minute. It's a good show for what it is, and if you watch that stuff, then, you watch all of them. But as far as that goes, they then have this Evan Green guy, or Evan something, a personality, and really they make him at home in his home studio doing a show, and it makes it look like he's a YouTuber, but then they show him on TV and say he's a TV personality. Not too many TV personalities I know do their show from their home, but that are actually on cable television. But they make him like this total psycho, and the lines that he says is totally matching. Like, oh, truth this, truth that. They're totally taking what we say in this community, and they're just throwing it, and they're putting it in the public eye and making it look, oh, you're crazy. Well, unfortunately, the things that have been said in this community and that have been rumored, a lot of these things have come true. And I mean a lot. It is incredibly scary. And, people take the more extreme things that are said and then they insert them after, lines that we may say. It's really crazy. They'll put in the most absurd thing they can that really none of us believe even, and they'll throw that in there to make all of us look crazy and stupid. I've seen multiple movies or shows do this too. The Maddening, that was another one that did this. A lot of them. They're making YouTubers specifically. They're targeting, and I think they are targeting because they do not like how we are. Even stand-up comedians, all of media is going after this. There was a whole stand-up comedian that went over all the YouTube, theorists out there, right? And essentially, it is something that I think is coordinated. It is definitely because we are taking the power away from the cable networks. If you look at the ratings of the cable networks, they are nothing close to what they used to be. Some of them are pretty much bankrupt at this point, And we're seeing that. Some of them are, about to get taken off of cable television because they just cannot feed, they can't get the eyes anymore. Meanwhile, people like Mark Dice or others, they can get 1 million views in a single video, where, some of these channels can't get that in an entire day. That's pretty sad. And it's pretty crazy that our world is turning into this right now. Right now, too, we have a new president. Everybody has a lot of hope, and I don't want to slam that down. But as far as fear-mongering, no. I honestly want people to get prepared for whatever disaster come their way. And wherever you are, there's most likely a big disaster that will do that. And I would hope that all of you would see 80, 90, 100 if you don't have some sort of ailment that hits you first from eating our nasty food in this country. But again, I would hope that all of you would live that long, and we could. Most of the disaster-related perishings end up being from preventable things. With CV and all of the stuff that happened, obviously a lot of us predicted that. And we saw it because they were literally putting it in writing. They were putting graphs out. They were putting exercises out. They were doing it. They're doing the same thing now. But it is a whole lot quieter. And now that we have a new president, you're not going to see the same exact kind of things going on. But I will tell you this, there is no doubt that the people that do not like him are on the other side, and they are absolutely not done. So with this, I don't know what is going on with all of this, but it really appears like the U.S. is going to separate from this whole war, and we're almost kind of, giving a fist pump to the main adversaries and saying, hey, we'll sit this one out. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. And I honestly think that we have a fantastic Freddy coming our way. Let's bring in my co-host, internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugel fam. I'm doing just fine.
So let's go over the next story. We have U.S. pauses intelligence support to Ukraine as world leaders weigh in. So they're just not giving them anything. Money, aid, intelligence.
Yeah, we've cut it all off. So the United States has stopped sending its critical intelligence. This is coming from the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, said on Wednesday in an interview. He confirmed that they had been a pause in the support, not only on the military front, but on the intelligence front. So that means probably giving them information from our satellites, telling them places they can, potentially strike, letting them know if they see troop movements, things like that. All of that intelligence that they would have normally had on a day-to-day operation that would have helped them for their tracking, for their targeting, things like that. It's all on pause, just like the pause of the weapons and anything else that was in process. Not that we've pledged new things, but the old things were still flowing over time. All of that has gotten halted.
And if one of the biggest aid supporters stops the checks, well, what does stop? Well, a lot. And as far as people, foot soldiers, the people that are on the front lines, well, they are also running out as well. You already have Europe talking about sending in 30,000 peacekeeper type things. And that to me is a cover for them to send in troops. 30,000 isn't a giant number compared to what could be sent, but it is a number. And it is something that also the community saw coming from 1 million miles away. Everything is done in a little stair step, and they do it so you are calm, comfortable, and complacent. And that's exactly what's been happening. Everybody now is calm, comfortable, and complacent. And they're very faithful that, everything is going to get better. And it very well could. But I don't believe that the rest of the world is going to pause just because we're in a hopeful place. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. By the way, thank the mods over at marfooglenews.com/friends. They are down in the chat. Make sure to drop an M for mods in the chat if you appreciate them. Go over and check out all of them, including Wages, Trinity, Ilea, of course, RJL, Rip, and Lisa Jammer, Optical Gems, CJ Blaze, Chance, and Bones. All right, so let's go over U.S. planes carrying arms to Ukraine were turned around mid-flight. Dex, this is pretty... Obviously, there was some quiet cheers and claps when this article was put out. Again, They say that it was turned around mid-flight. Do you want to go over that real quick?
I mean, it's one thing to say we're going to stop sending them stuff. It's another thing to literally turn the planes around in the air. So that's what happened. So apparently, some of the planes, the deliveries, the U.S. weapon deliveries to Ukraine, were halted, but not only halted just on being delivered, but the ones that were in air were literally turned around and sent back or sent to a different location. So all of the shipments have stopped, and that was as of what had happened on the order, I think it was on Monday, that anything that was going over was all halted. Now, we've seen since then, a big turnabout Monday night into Tuesday with Zelensky saying he's ready to sign, he regrets what he did, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know how much that changes right now. And I don't know that the current president or Trump is really just like saying, "Oh, we'll come here right now, let's sign." I think he's probably letting him sweat it out a little bit, and maybe leaving him in timeout, so to speak, for his unruly behavior as he perceived it.
Yeah. So with all of these stories coming out, it's always same day that you have all of these kind of connecting things come out, and usually a lot of them are planned. I mean, take all of the stories that have a source familiar with the matter or a source that would not like to be named. All those kind of stories come out on the same day. It's because these are people telling top secret information. Usually it is meant because, they are purposely telling that information or they have permission to. How many people want to go to, Guantanamo Bay for sharing top secret information? I don't know too many, but who knows? Maybe they really are that nuts. And before we move on, make sure to go check out My Medic if you haven't already. This is a really incredible bag. Now, I know that there's a lot of people that probably end up going through other means. You might end up going through, say, a knockoff brand or something like that, but I would highly recommend against it. Now, if you've ever actually gone into some of the knockoff bags of a MyFac is the ones that anybody would try to do that with, right? They'll try to make it look like it. You open them up and you'll find essentially the crappiest crap ever. In fact, I have seen the insides of the other bags, and honestly, it's absolutely shameful. Not to mention, if you are doing something, getting something for medical reasons, you want it to be sterile. You want these things to actually work. You want the tool to do what it says it's going to do. You don't want it to fall apart. Again, this is a MyFac, and again, this is the actual first aid kit. Everybody should have one of these in their car. It's not just because it's built in America and everything else. You actually have the top grade medical supplies in here that you'll need in any disaster. If you're in a fire, a storm, or earthquake, whatever it is, you have that in here. This is the smaller one. I would actually check out and even look out for the bigger versions. Go check them out. But also you can actually get refills from the company. If you actually use a few of these things, then boom, you can go back and get whatever you need from it. You don't have to get a whole new bag. And then, of course, they have all sorts of other things in there. So you really should check this out. Again, I hope that many of you will make a smart decision and get the legitimate, MyFac, not something else. Because honestly, it's crazy how much superior this is compared to a normal knockoff. It is insane. Like gloves that you pull on and they just rip right through because they're 8 years old or something. Scissors that break right in half while you're trying to cut somebody's clothes off after an accident. A port that is warped so it doesn't seal on somebody's chest. I mean, that's the kind of stuff people run into. Just go read the comments. Read the comments of when you go buy that stuff. You'll see. What is the purpose? Why even spend any money on something if it's not going to work? I don't think that that's great. These, again, they have the MOLLE system, so you can put it right on your existing bag with the MOLLE system. If you don't know what that is, it's the kind of the bars, so you can actually weave it in to any of your MOLLE equipped bags. A lot of go bags and things like that already have that system on it or a version of it. So go check it out, marfooglenews.com/medic. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/medic, and make sure to use the code MARF. You're helping our little guy show here, and you are getting a discount at the same time as getting one of the most, the top 4 necessities, first aid. All right, and let's see here. Let's go over. We have China says it is ready for any type of war with, of course, the U.S. I have talked about this for years. I do feel like I even sort of got I almost got convinced that maybe, something's not, that war's going to happen with them, but there's pressing issues. And anytime that mass media is trying to get you to not believe something or to believe something over here, usually it's what you need to look at the opposite direction. China, it's odd how quiet they are about this. Now, there's stuff like this that comes out, but honestly, look at how much they talk about all of the other places in the world, like North Korea, things like this. When North Korea, we don't know what the hell's going on there. It's a huge wag the dog situation. In reality, though, Xi Jinping, we absolutely know, wants to be number one. We know for a fact that he is not only building up his forces bigger than anyone ever thought he could even be at by this point, but he is building them faster and wider than anyone could have ever thought. I mean, it is nuts. Not only that, he is expanding his nuclear arsenal. Now they are saying that it is ready for any type of war with the U.S. China has warned it's ready to fight, quote, any type of war after hitting back against President Donald's mounting trade tariffs. And everybody knew because these tariffs went into place. What day did they start, Dex? What was it? It was just a few days ago when they actually started. It wasn't Saturday.
I think they started today, either yesterday or today.
Yeah.
The 4th or the 5th.
So we knew when these tariffs started that, things were going to start getting dicey. But the day before that, who was it? It was Warren Buffett said that these tariffs are an act of war to some degree. I love how every article say an act of war, and then they put smaller letters to some degree. But a lot of people agreed with him. A lot of experts agreed with him. A lot of people that have studied war agreed with him. A lot of people that have studied history agreed with him. You're talking about history repeating itself. The world's top 2 economies have edged closer to a trade war after Trump slapped more tariffs on Chinese goods. China quickly retaliated, imposing 10 to 15% tariffs on U.S. farm products. It, quote, if war is what the U.S. wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we're ready to fight until the end, China's embassy said on X, reposting a line from a government statement on Tuesday. On Wednesday, China's Premier Li Qiang announced that China would again boost its defense spending by 7.2% this year and warned that changes unseen in a century were unfolding across the world at a faster pace. This increase was expected and matches the figure announced last year. Leaders in Beijing are trying to send a message to the people in China that they are confident that the country's economy can grow even with the threat of a trade war. Now, I don't think that they are hoarding corn, hoarding wheat, hoarding food, hoarding rice, hoarding gold, hoarding natural gas. I don't think that they're hoarding all of this stuff for any reason. I think that they're specifically preparing for taking over Taiwan and getting into a war with the U.S. It's that simple. And you see our other allies, too, rolling through the Taiwan Strait. You see Japan even pushing on it. And you see that in the future, I can see that Japan is probably going to be pushing a lot more. You're going to see Germany pushing a lot more. You're going to see a lot of these countries that have already rolled through there. They're going to be the ones that are really pushing this forward. Even if Donald has kind of an opinion of like, oh, well, we'll chill back. China is getting on the toes of other countries like Japan. And as we know, Japan doesn't play. And now they are, of course, an ally with the Trilateral Alliance or the Asian NATO. So things are about to get spicy. That, I absolutely know it. Now, with this, we've been clapping back and forth. These tariffs, they hurt the pocket of a country. And with China, the thing about them is I really do think that they are making more money than we think. And this might actually piss them off. But as well as that, they say that they did this massive 7.2% increase in their defense spending, but we don't actually know. That's the thing. Financial experts even believe that they are making more money than we think because they are so secretive, and they have a system that essentially they can hide a lot of this stuff. So it is quite odd what is going on there. Dex, as far as China too, China could hide money if they wanted, especially with all of the operations they have going. I mean, they have people coming here to buy property up, and I'm not even talking about just the farmland right next to our bases, but I mean, look at all of the houses that are getting bought up by China. I mean, it's all of you probably that if you own a house, you've gotten these calls, and they are Chinese companies trying to buy up your house, and they'll buy you over asking price, and they'll do it, and they'll say, hey, we'll give you cash on Saturday. I mean, it's that crazy, and it's all across the country. What do you think that's for? They're making money, and then they're sending it back home. They have to. Dex, what do you think about this? The back and forth between China and U.S.
Well, I mean, look, it's big words. It's certainly, it would make sense to talk about it from a trade perspective, but then throw in any type of war. That just taking it a little further than it needs to go. And I think if they're doing that, they're doing it intentionally. And we've heard the rhetoric from them over and over again. I don't know if they're in a position to actually go toe to toe with us. I think they may be more in a position to try to take Taiwan than to go after America. But for them to throw that type of gauntlet out there, it's a big deal. It's a big deal coming from number two, so to speak.
Now, Stephen McMahon says there's another super CV, 2019 type thing brewing in China. Mass perishings, crematoriums working overtime, lockdowns. Now, I want to point out, this is something I noticed in just the last 2 days. Pulling up to a stoplight, I saw 3 people, and they were from an Asian country. I'm not going to try to guess what they are, but 3 people wearing their masks in their car. And first of all, not too many people even wear them in the first place, but I have especially noticed folks from there wearing these. And I'm thinking, did they get something on, from family, or do they still have WeChat? Are they getting stuff like alerts from there and they're freaked out about it? Because the U.S. really isn't talking about anything right now. So I wouldn't put it past for our country to have another one of those, or our world to have another one of those, because, I mean, look at what happened last time. We immediately gave all liberties away. We were trapped at home. Whether you were in Deutschland or you were in Portland, you were locked in your room. I mean, it was insane. They changed everything, including even how we live, how we shop, how we do everything, how we travel. They even put up checkpoints during that. I mean, it was really, truly Orwellian. So, and by the way, that reminds me, during that show, 0 Day, they actually have the guy keep quoting Orwell. And I'm like, they're ruining it for everybody. So now he's using very famous quotes that we actually use, and they're totally making everybody look like wingnuts. But guess what? Those comments, the reason Orwell and many of these things are quoted is because they're so scarily predictive. And these things are happening right now. I don't get the people that are on that level. And by the way, De Niro is one of those people outside of the movies and shows I just don't get, that they are so strongly thinking one way that they don't even consider the other way. In fact, they've taken it upon themselves that if somebody they don't like, so say the president, it doesn't matter what it is, they could latch onto any topic. They don't even care about like believing in something. They care about disagreeing with what that person believes. So you could take an entirely new subject. I mean, we've seen this a million times with all sorts of subjects where you see the news cover it. It's totally off to the side. It's something like this kind of subject or that kind of subject. And then all of a sudden you have a really big right-leaning person say, oh, I love these guys. All of a sudden you're going to have everybody say, oh, well, we hate him and we don't disagree with you. Even if it doesn't make logical sense to disagree. Like it's like people just cannot see, eye to eye. And they're doing it on purpose. I think that's super childish. That's like somebody on the playground, disagreeing, like, well, no, I don't like chocolate milk anymore just because some other kid likes chocolate milk. Like, no, chocolate milk is gross, even though they're, salivating over the chocolate milk. That's what everybody is doing right now. It's just, we are in such a upside down world right now. And then we have seeing red, the back and forth. We're prepared for war with China. Dex, do you want to go over exactly, this is a back and forth little battle here.
Well, yeah. So China comes out with that, any type of war, anytime, all the way to the end. And now we've got Hegseth coming out saying, "Don't worry about it. We're prepared for war with China. Let's go." So I added the "let's go" part, but that's basically what he's saying. So the fact that we're now going back and forth with the words from our heads of the respective departments of the militaries of the two different countries. So. It's kind of a big deal. Hegseth slammed Beijing's threat, warning that we're prepared, quote, and stressing the importance for the U.S. to, quote, be strong, even as the tariffs scrap continues, as there are words now that are not just about tariffs, they're about more than just that. So those who long for peace must prepare for war. The defense secretary said. So that's why we're rebuilding our military. That's why we're reestablishing deterrence in the warrior ethos. We live in a dangerous world with powerful ascendant countries with a very different ideology. Making a nod to Beijing's threat, Hegseth added that other nations are rapidly increasing their defense spending, modern technology. They want to supplant the United States. He said, if we want to deter war with the Chinese or others, we have to be strong. So lots of big words flying back and forth between the two countries.
And that's where it starts. It starts with the back and forth. It starts with the putting it out. I mean, they're putting it in the universe. They're saying war with you, World War III. These things are being talked about now. Over the years, we've had so many kind of close calls and so many times where all of the public thought it. But when you actually have a lot of the military population, and you've got all these folks from the military saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to war, either here or here." I mean, yeah, I've known this is going to happen for a long time. There's no way it can't. I would love to see a debate on how it can't. How could it not happen? Especially when you see the red taking over. And I mean financially. China is now trading partners with more countries and trading more with more countries than the U.S. is. How do we keep that top spot if it's not militarily and with the U.S. dollar? Well, the U.S. dollar, which is based on petrol, is about to go out the window here soon. The dollar's not doing well at all. And then, of course, militarily, that was doing really, really badly, apparently before this. Now they're saying it's good. And even yesterday or the day before we covered, they had the best recruitment numbers that they've had in a super long time. And now everybody enlisted, right? But at the same point, our military was getting crippled. People were doing some really stupid stuff with it for the last 4 years. And then before that, there was another few years of just, decommissioning this and decommissioning that. And not to mention the last 4 years of loss of confidence with anybody in the military of high ranks that, didn't see eye to eye with everybody. So, yeah. Pete Hegseth and them going on that little back and forth, I would pay attention. AK Forever My Heart, hey, thank you, became a member. Again, thank you, I appreciate that. And then Mimir Karstel, I appreciate you. Callie, Dawn, Baron Saturday, Alan P, Rochelle Cooley, Mastix, thank you. And I believe I said that right. I didn't read this comment yesterday, so I'm going to make sure to cover this. Going camping for my birthday this weekend. I will be sure to keep up to date with my Starlink and watching you guys. Love all that you do, Marf and Dex. By the way, I wish I had a Starlink because there would be so many cool things we could do. We could go live from anywhere. That would be really, really cool. But I am not one who has one. I know Leah has one. I think she said she loved it at first. I haven't talked to her about it in a long time, but do you still love it? All right. And then how good is it? Can you actually get internet everywhere, or is it shoddy, or, is it really good? Let me know in the chat below. Do you have Starlink, and is it good? All right. And then back to the news. If North Korean soldiers fighting in Russia-Ukraine war are captured, their families will be taken out. I'm trying to say this carefully. X and not cute, Ed. So you never know what the heck, out of all of these statements, what is actually true. Oh, by the way, it looks like AK Forever in My Heart also did a super, says, I had to renew my membership to support you, Adam, Dex, James. Love and prayers to the whole Foogle fam. Hey, thank you, AK Forever in My Heart. Appreciate that. And then thanks, Steve and Sarah W. for subscribing. I appreciate that. So, Dex, why would they take out their families? Maybe because then there's no man to support the family? Like, this is...
It's more about being captured. So this is coming from a former North Korean sergeant who had defected, and he's saying that they are trained, militarily trained, that if they are fighting in any conflict and they are captured, if they're captured alive, then the risk that they run is that their families can be harmed significantly, all from punished in a political prison camp, or the ultimate paying for their life for the event. The idea is that the training is done to prevent them from being captured and giving up information. So it is now a common practice for North Korean soldiers to unalive themselves if they are captured or if they feel they're going to be, because they fear that if they are taken alive as a POW, then it causes major ramifications for them at home.
Well, so okay, so it's only if they are captured. If they perish on the field, then I guess they're a hero. But if they get captured, that would be a terrifying thought. I wonder how many of these guys, go into the recruitment office and say, "I want to join." Just kidding. There is no recruitment office. It's just alphabetical, and it's picked out of a hat. Like, today everybody named Al is going to war. All right. But we don't know. Like, how much of this is made up by three-letter agencies and then put out, through channels like this, and then... It is freaky, though, because if you think about our soldiers read this and see this, it doesn't help our morale. Like, if they ever had to go up against North Korean soldiers, they're going to be scared, about these guys. Basically, they're kind of like human kamikazes. All right, and let's see here. All right, and the astronauts were only supposed to be up there for 8 days. It sounds like Gilligan's Island, doesn't it? But again, it's a little bit longer than 8 days. The astronauts were only supposed to be up there for 8 days and now have been there for 8 months. SpaceX could have sent up another Dragon and brought them down 6 months ago, but the White House, not NASA, refused to allow it. President Trump asked to bring them back as soon as possible, and we are doing so. Turns out Elon Musk was telling the truth. Biden refused to let the stranded astronauts come home last year for political reasons. Astronaut Butch Wilmore, who went to the ISS Boeing Starliner last year, has confirmed that Elon Musk offered to help bring NASA's back in 2024. He also stated that the return was delayed by the Biden administration for political reasons. Now, why would that be, right? I guess what is the angle? Why would our last president want to keep them up there for? Why was that the angle? I'm trying to see it here.
They didn't want Elon to be the savior.
man, I mean, just like,
I mean, that's how horrible it is. I mean, the fact that these folks have been stuck up there for 8 months, they didn't even sign up for it to be there for 8 months. That's a long time. And imagine everything they've missed that they had planned to do because they were only going on a short trip.
now I know a good chunk of you there, you're like, well, it's BS that they're even up there. But I will say this, we could both agree. So say if they are up there, they're American citizens, they could perish. I mean, it's not the safest thing to do to be up there for any amount of time. But say if they're beyond their kind of deadline, that's where America left them. America just left them floating in the sky. And I mean, for 6 months longer than they should have been. That to me is like, one of the biggest kind of offenses. A lot of the things that we've done, leaving American people in other countries and not fighting to get every single person home or hostages or anything else. You would hope that your country would fight for you, especially since most of us would fight for your country. Especially when you have soldiers that are left somewhere. They're not prisoners of war, but they, pull out of a war or something and then just leave you there and they don't try to get you. What's the deal with that? Pretty lame, if you ask me. All right, and before we move on, make sure to go check out Grid Down. If you are trying to get into a solar generator, this is our recommendation. And I truly believe that this is going to be one of the best in its category solar generators out there, especially if you are worried about some of the situations that we are. Especially, say, anything happens with China, anything happens with a real 0 day or an EMP attack or something like that, you want one that's protected. The cool thing about this, and the reason why we are representing it, is because this is all equipped with EMP Shield. So all of these, right off the bat, all of the packages, you see the 4.29 kilowatt hour bug out package, the 1.61 with the main unit, or the 6.97. They all come with the protection of EMP Shield. That means that signal is going to be grounded before it ends up frying your device. Now, these are high capacity. The other generator company, of course, would be Energy. Those are great, but that goes up to 3,000. This guy is 6,000, goes up 6,000 peak and then 3,000 continuous. So this is a beefy solar generator. It really does not do it justice in the pictures, but it is big. It is right behind me right here, and you can see it's chunky. But it is also lighter than I believe even some of the ones half its size, and that's because it's a lithium iron phosphate, the newer battery technology that has again less of the degradation and a lot more of the battery juice and battery life. Again, it's got a power cord that's actually built in, so you'll never lose it. You don't have to worry about adapters and cords. It is just right in the back of it. It also has a 30 amp port, so you can plug a 30 amp plug directly into it. The front end of it, of course, has your USB-Cs, your USB-As. It, of course, has your regular plugins. And it even has, of course, your car lighter for all of the different kind of gadgets you have with that kind of adapter. So this thing is killer. It even has a color screen that tells you almost everything about what's going on with the battery. So again, go over to marfooglenews.com/bugout. And if you get anything over just the main unit, if you get any of the XPs, you then qualify for a potential 30% tax rebate. Go over to marfooglenews.com/bugout. And also, if you're going to do a whole house, you might want to look into the readouts. You can actually go and get some of they're essentially like a power wall, right? Everybody's heard of the Tesla walls. These are, again, a way, way cooler deal because they are EMP Shield protected. A Carrington level event from the sun or an EMP strike is not going to stop your family from surviving. Go to marfooglenews.com/bugout. Make sure to use the code MARF. You're going to get a big discount, and you're going to be supporting our independent show. Or, yeah. I just couldn't believe how much smack that stupid show talked. And they kept saying lamestream media. They just made they're trying to make our community look like idiots, but they make themselves look like idiots in the process, because everybody that's watching that show watches shows like this and doesn't think it's crazy. In fact, there's more people thinking, believing in all sorts of crazy stuff now than there has ever been before. I don't know if you've noticed, but you see a lot of people that normally don't do anything. They're creators now, and they're talking about, they're digging into all sorts of stuff. You see videos everywhere on X and TikTok, everywhere. Everybody is kind of waking up to the lie, and it's kind of glorious. Unfortunately, I do see a couple of these people that just do the stupidest ones too. Like, they literally believe everything, and that's unfortunate as well. And then Philippine defense chief warns allies will fight if China restricts flights over the South China Sea. Dex, do you want to go over this? And we just did a little bit on this over on news, but you want to expand on that?
Well, yeah, so check out the news short. It's good and worth sharing. There's lots of things going on there, including Kim's sister and the latest threats that are happening there. But with, the Philippines chief here, the defense chief, they are under the presumption that China is about to start doing a no-fly zone in the South China Sea and enforcing it. And they're willing to, fight back against that. So that is going to be a big escalation, I think, on both sides. If you actually see China try to define a no-fly zone in certain areas that are specific to the Philippines. That's it. And then if they react to it, not just fly through it, but react to, the pressure that may come from, any of the enemy aircraft that would be there trying to patrol it, then we're gonna potentially see something much more significant, because you can't really shoot water cannons from one plane to another like they do with the ships. You can't really have a knife fight on between two boats, which is what they did in the waters. When you get in the air, the engagement is a totally different ballgame, and it gets a lot more kinetic.
Yeah, and just the mere mentioning of the no-fly zones over South China Sea, to me, that says that in a matter of time, it's going to be talked about, it's going to be theorized, and then it will end up getting put into place some way down the road. You've seen this with China. They'll say, oh, well, we think that they're going to do this, and this. It's almost crazy, because most of the stuff that comes out about China quietly, it then does come true. Whereas a lot of this, intelligence and information from everywhere else, you can kind of tell, oh, that was a distraction. Nothing ever happened. But with China, it's like they're just steadily moving towards that. I mean, how would you not believe that? They actually put out a map themselves that was confirmed that shows them owning all of that ocean. Includes ocean that is essentially going over the lines of Philippines and Vietnam and all of their neighbors. So they do want that area, and they've said it. They said, this is ours. So in their eyes, and they're going to say this, like, well, in our eyes, this is our water. And we've got the Spratly Islands, and these are our territorial waters. In their eyes, it's theirs. So I could see them doing a no-fly zone, and I could see them doing it right around when we end up having this war go off with them and Taiwan and everything else. And think about this. Think about if they do end up taking Taiwan successfully, that even further extends their role. And that's why Japan's scared, or at least concerned, and they're pissed off at China pushing in on that, because it will end up affecting them as well. If you look here, the Philippines is right here, right? We've got the Philippines. Oh, no, don't want to spin you around here. Let me spin that back here. You got the Philippines. You have, of course, China up here. You've got Thailand that way, and then Japan is right here. So if they take Taiwan right here, then that further extends them out this way. You also have right here, you've got all of China up here. They're pushing on them. I mean, look at this. They're, yeah. And then you have the North and South Korea going off. South Korea is kind of a buffer between North Korea and Japan. Of course, over the years, we've seen North Korea launch missiles and they've gone right over Japan and things like this. It's quite a freaky scenario if you have a war here, you have a war here, you have war. All of this area is about to be lit up. So how could there not be something going on? So I guess we will see what ends up happening with that. And then Russia up there. I mean, this whole area is just going to be nuts. All right, and then let me see here. All right, let's resume. And then before we go, make sure to go check out Jace. This is just a quick one. You can actually go get a kit with all of your antibiotics. If we do get in a war with China, they control 93-94% of the antibiotics. They make 90% of all of them, and then I think it's like 95% of all, or no, I'm sorry, 97% of all of the active pharmaceutical ingredients, the APIs in these things. So if you want to get antibiotics that you can have on hand, again, if just in case we don't have a hospital, in case we don't have pharmacies, then go over and check out Jace. Marfooglenews.com/Jace. Make sure to use the code MARF. You're going to save money. And again, you're going to get that. You talk to a board certified doctor from the comfort of your couch, and you're going to get that shipped right to your door. It's very, very easy, very, very simple. Also, go check out the 12-month extended supply of your prescription meds. If the lights go off tomorrow, you don't have to worry about that medicine, not being there. Yeah. Lights go off, you're not going to get that refill. So you can go up to the broken windows and go, well, but I have 8 refills left. What's going on? And the guy with the shotgun is going to be like, what do you mean? I'm just trying to find some toilet paper. All right. Thank you, everybody that made it here tonight. Again, I'll be popping up the chat and saying thank you to quite a few of you. Thank you so much, AK Forever in my heart. I appreciate that. Zelda says, must see Starlink satellites. Let's see here. Goog search where to see. I haven't seen them in person, but once I thought I did. It was at least 4 things in a row. And everybody thought they were, but I don't know. I know Dex and many others that are East Coast have seen plenty of them. Not myself. And then Carlton Sutton, thank you. And then Troy O'Brien, thank you for the super. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Mimi Carstol, again, thank you. Callie, Dawn, Baron Saturday, Rochelle Cooley, Stephen McMahon, thank you for hitting us up before you went to work. And then Searcher07, Tim Oliver, Seeking Truth, Kenny Crowder, Becky D, All Things Random, Olga, and so many more. We're going to be hopping over to Jams and saying thank you to those people. Make sure to join us. And if you do, just stay in the chat. You'll be ported over. Thank you, Dex, for all your service today. Appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Check out Friends over at marfooglenews.com/friends. And, of course, check out our website with a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we have here. Again, that's at marfooglenews.com. Check out that short over on news. You can just go click on the top, go news, and she is off her rocker. It's right there, and boom, you can go to that show. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro.
I know it's gonna happen. War with China, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, but I know it's gonna happen. War with China, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, but I know it's gonna happen. War with China, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, don't wanna see it, but I know it's gonna happen.
Peace.